Welcome to The Sailing Show, the monthly podcast that will steer and inspire you along your sailing journey. I'm Abby Ela. I've competed in the Volvo Ocean Race 3 times and worked shoreside with the America's Cup and Sail GP. I'm also a director of the Magenta Project, a charity organisation that is committed to creating opportunities for women in performance sailing. I'll be chatting to a wide range of women within the sailing community, including Olympic champions, ocean racers, change makers and up-and-coming champions. Whether you're aspiring to race around the world, compete at the Olympics or just needing a spark of inspiration, The Sailing Show will have something for you. My guest today is Justine Mettraux, a Swiss sailor who grew up navigating the waters of Lake Geneva with her 4 siblings, all of whom are professional sailors. She began sailing competitively as a teenager before quickly rising through the ranks as one to watch. In 2013, she came second in the Mini-Transat, securing the best finish in that race for a female sailor. She joined the all-female crew, SCA, where I had the pleasure of sailing with her, skippered by Sam Davies for the 2014-15 Volvo Ocean Race. Hungry for more, she has gained further offshore experience in the Transat Jaques Vabres and La Solitaire de Figaro. Justine officially joined 11th Hour Racing in the start of 2021, following a transatlantic training run with the crew in 2020. She will co-skipper the team's IMOCA 60, known as 11th Hour Racing ALAKA'I, with British navigator Simon Fisher. The Transat Jaques Vabres starts on the 7th of November. It's a total of 5,800 nautical miles for the IMOCA 60 class. There is a total of 79 boats competing across 4 different classes. The race sets off from the northwest of Le Havre. A couple of hours later, the fleet is expected to reach a turning mark, which is a perfect vantage point for spectators. The first section of the race is the same for all different classes, exiting the English Channel, which will either see them hugging the English coast or skirting the Cotentin Peninsula, according to weather conditions at the time. Once in the English Channel, they're up to the northwest tip of Brittany, where the skippers will have to be on their guard against the abundance of shipping. Next up is the negotiation of the Bay of Biscay, which can sometimes be a little fruity for gales in November time. Once around Cape Finisterre, the sailors will drop down the North Atlantic in a bid to hook onto the trade winds, and from there it's south to the Canaries, which is where the 3 courses will part their different ways. The Ocean 50s and IMOCAs both setting a course towards the Brazilian archipelago. The total circuit for them is 5,800 miles. These boats will cross the equator twice over, which translates to 2 crossings of the doldrums. The Ocean 50s are expected to be first into the Fort-de-France, Martinique, in a time of 12 to 15 days, and meanwhile the IMOCAs are expected to take between 14 to 17 days. The adapted course of the Class 40s is slightly shorter in distance at 4,600 miles. They'll be leaving the island of Sal to starboard at the Cape Verde Islands before powering eastwards to Martinique. Lucky for them, they don't have to negotiate the doldrums or the equator. So they're aiming for a completion day of 17 to 22. And finally, the course for the old teams, the fastest boats on the circuit, and inevitably the longest at 7,500 miles. Their designated rounding point is another Brazilian island off the coast of Rio de Janeiro. Here too, the crews will be doubling up on their passages across the equator and through the doldrums, with an estimated finish time of around 16 to 17 days. I'm lucky enough today to be joined by Justine, who's going to share a little bit of insight on her race preparation and what they're expecting for the race ahead. But before we chat to Justine, I am very lucky to be joined by Dee Caffari, who's going to give her insights and share a bit of knowledge into the IMOCA fleet and what we can expect.
I absolutely love the Transat Jaques Vabres. In fact, it's my favourite race, and I've been lucky enough to have done it twice, 2007 and 2009. But it's a real test. You leave Le Havre in November when who knows how hard and difficult the weather will be. You leave the English Channel with all the busy shipping, face the Bay of Biscay before you can hook into the trade winds, which hopefully gives you an enjoyable ride. This year we've got 4 classes on 3 different courses, and it's the first time they've done this. The aim being that everyone arrives in Martinique at a similar time, so there's a bit more celebration. So the Class 40s have a turning mark at the Cape Verde Islands, and then they go straight to Martinique. The Ocean 50 and the IMOCAs actually have to cross the doldrums because their turning mark is the island Fernando de Noronha. And then they come back up through the doldrums and into Martinique. And then for the Ultimes, they go a little bit further. Their turning mark are the islands just off Rio. So again, 2 crossings of the doldrums. So it's really going to challenge the pairings. But I really like the double-handed format, and we get some interesting combinations of sailors coming together. What I think is worth celebrating is how active the organisation has been in encouraging female participation. We've got 14 female sailors in all taking part, and 3 of the Class 40 boats are all female crews, which is just fabulous. But if we look down the IMOCAs, and the top of the list, we've got the 11th hour racing team, ALAKA'I, with Justine and Simon Fisher. And I know you're talking to Gigi, and it's their first entry into the Transat Jaques Vabres, but they've got a super reliable boat. It was the former Hugo Boss, and they've had some great performances in their recent races. So the pairing seems to be working really well. And we both know them, and we both know how hard they can work. So I would call them an outside option. The other 11th hour racing team with Charlie and Pascal, it's a bit more difficult. A brand new boat, so who knows? They're not going to have the confidence in their boat just yet, but it'll be a good test for them to line up with the others. Fresh off success of the Vendée Globe, we got Charlie Dallin in Apivia, and that was my favourite boat for the Vendée Globe, and he knows his boat, he's confident, and he's confident with his co-skipper, so they're definitely going to be the favourites, I would say. Other podium finishers in the Vendée Globe were Louis Burton on Bureau Valley, but he's now got a new boat to tame. He's got the former Occitan, so he's learning a new boat as he does this. So I think we may see a difference in performance for him. Equally, we've got Mettraux, Vendée Globe winner, although it was all a little controversial at the end, but Yannick Bestevan knows his boat really well, knows how hard he can push it. So you definitely got to watch those for sure. People like Arkia Paprec with Sebastian Simon, and again with Coram with Nicolas Troussel, they had their Vendée Globes finished early for them. They had to retire, so they were really frustrated. So this is their first chance since then to really kind of stretch their legs on an ocean race, and I think they'll be quite keen to just prove what their boat can do. Chiral again didn't have the Vendée Globe he wanted. He went in as a favourite, had to come back, and he made the big decision to restart. So Jeremy Bayou with Christopher Pratt, they've done a lot of miles together. They'll be quite keen to prove a point. We got a few people with different boats. So again, Roman Antanasio, he's got a new boat to him. It was Boris Herman's Militia that had the terrible devastation at the end of the Vendée Globe. And so he's been learning a new foiling boat and how to cope with it going so fast. So he'd be quite keen to stretch his legs and see if he can hold on for the ride and get used to going so fast. And then obviously Sam's Vendée Globe was really traumatic, but this is her 7th Transat Jaques Vabres. She lost a lot of confidence from the Vendée Globe, but she's here to build that confidence back up. And she's just announced a massive project where she's fully funded for a new boat built for the next Vendée Globe. So she's in a really happy place, very positive. She's got great support by sailing with Nico. And I think she's going to be keen to show that she's back at the front of the pack with everybody again. Linked Out, again, had a great Vendée Globe. Thomas Rouen, confident with his boat. Definitely in the mix, I would say. And equally, I'd say Isabelle Joschke with Fabienne Delay are worth watching. Her boat, MACSF, she was getting faster and faster on the Vendée Globe as she grew in confidence. Fabienne's just such a technical sailor and so good with his navigation and strategy and tactics that I think, you know, if they have a good start, there'd be ones to watch as well. So I haven't really narrowed it down. If I had to put my money on anyone, it's so hard. It's the Atlantic. Anything can happen. But I will definitely be watching daily, watching the reports, following their progress. 1, because I love the race, but 2, because it's going to be super competitive. Good luck to all of them.
I'm really excited, Justine, to be able to grab a little bit of your time before the start of the TJV, which is due to start this weekend. So thank you for taking the time. I wanted to just understand a little bit about your preparations leading up to this race. I mean, it's been quite a long lead up. So how has that time been managed, and what's been the focus leading up to the Transat Jaques Vabres?
Yeah, well, I think we've been quite lucky with the preparation this year. So we started, I started in January with the team, and we started training, but in crew configuration to prepare the Ocean Race Europe. So we trained quite a lot between March and June before the race. And it was nice because I think as a team, you can really work a lot on the performance on the boat. So we learned a lot, and we made a lot of progress, I think, on the boat speed and so on. Then we raced the Ocean Race Europe, and then we delivered the boat back double-ended, only with Simon. So it was a good way to start training just the two of us, and to qualify as well for the Transat Jaques Vabres. And it was nice to spend a week where you can, already see a lot of things. And then we had two races before the TGV. So we raced the Fastnet race and the Diffie Azimut. So it was also good shorter races to prepare the Transat Jaques Vabres. And we did a bit of training as well with the Pole Training Center in Port-la-Forêt with other IMOCAs who were also training for the Transat Jaques Vabres. So that's been also really helpful.
Great. Oh, it's really interesting to hear. And how is it going from like that fully crewed environment to a double-handed, which, I mean, it must almost be a little bit single-handed because there's probably one of you on deck for the majority of the time. But how do you make those adjustments?
Yeah, for sure. It's a bit like this. So I think as we had sailed before with four of us sailing the boat, in fact, we kept a bit more our specialties with Simon, or what we were doing in the maneuvers, and we adapted it for sailing just the two of us. So for sure, yeah, when you're double-ended, we do all the maneuvers together, and but the rest of the time you need to spend time on the navigation, and you need also to rest and do all the rest you have to do on the boat. So you end up a lot of the time on your own on deck, and I think it comes little by little, and I think to me we've been really lucky to do the delivery back from Geneva after the Ocean Race Europe. It was a really good, like we had more than a week to find out marks. You have the time to do the maneuvers, you have the time to discover everything, to find in to be into a good mode, but still you need to do a course and get to the end of the delivery. So that was a good way to start that.
Yeah. And I guess a difficult track in terms of shipping routes and a mixed bag of weather.
Exactly. So that was it was really good way to get into it. And I think the biggest difference is just you need to work out how you do the maneuvers double-ended, but that's it. And then on these boats, even when you sail with four on deck, you are most of the time on the pilot, and the guy on the pilot will trim the main and will have an eye on the performance. So in fact you're just it's not that different, I think.
Yeah, right. Okay, and so going into the Transat Jaques Vabres, it's a very strong fleet of IMOCAs, including your teammates, Charlie and Pascal, who were on the recently launched Malama, also under the 11th Hour banner. So what are your expectations going into this race, other than beating Charlie?
We'll see. I hope they will do well as well. But we had a really good start of the season, I think, beyond our expectations. So it's nice when it's like this. And but we know, there is a really good, there are really good sailors out there, really good boats, some more recent boats than ours. So we know we have to sail really, really well if we want to make a good result. But I think, we'll try to sail as we did for the moment, because it seems it worked well. We tried really to focus on our boat, on doing the things right, on not doing big mistakes, and it worked well so far. So we'll try to do that. But I think there are more or less 10 boats who can do a podium. So yeah, there will be a big fight on the water. And it's also a bit longer course than it was on the previous editions, because we have to go down to Fernando de Noronha and then come back up to Martinique, which adds more or less 2,000 miles. So you have still 2,000 miles to do after Fernando de Noronha. So yeah, it's going to be a bit different, and it's going to be interesting as well. I think lots of rhythm in this race with this race course.
Yeah, and as you said, I mean, the slightly different race course, it effectively takes you across the equator, so through the doldrums twice. You know, slightly better on the western side.
Exactly.
But what are the main challenges? As we've touched on the doldrums, but of this new race course, navigationally, weather-wise, I don't know if it's too early to sort of see what you're expecting for the outset of the race.
Yeah, it's still a bit early, and the forecasts have been changing a lot these last days, so I think we need to wait a couple more days to know a bit more. But I think, as on any transatlantic race, you know, you always live on the channel in the winter, so it's not you can wait to have a bit harsh conditions to start with, and it's about being fast to be in the game, but not to break the boat as well. So for sure there will probably be a bit of that to start with in the first days, and then easing slowly into the train winds, and then as you said, approaching the doldrums, going out in the southern train winds in the other side, and then coming back up after Fernando de Noronha and doing the thing in the other way around, which should be a bit easier as we're quite west in the doldrums, but I think we'll see. And you could have a lot of different options on this way, but they also the organization also put a big forbidden area along South America. So yeah, there will be a bit less game that we could have expected, I think, without that. But there will still be strategic stuff to play on the way back up. So we'll see.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it makes for a really interesting race. As you said, it's slightly longer than previous editions, and with these added sort of waypoints, islands to go around. I mean, when you go down like this, it's nice because you go out with maybe the low pressure systems, and then every 3 days you're in a completely different system. So that makes it really interesting, because it's not like you're in the trades for a long time, and it can it's quite steady. On this race course, it's always about changing systems and making the good calls to position yourself well in them, and so it's going to be interesting for sure. And how do you benchmark yourself? I mean, in a race like this, where it's not a fully crewed race, so it's obviously important to look after yourself on board, with just the two of you, the boat, as you said. I mean, these are very high-tech machines. But also, just benchmarking against your competitors. I mean, how do you find that balance?
Well, I think you find the balance also checking the position reports and seeing, if you'll be pushing enough or not. And I think we'll know more. We will learn more also during this race, because for the moment we did quite short races. Like the Fastnet was 3 days, I think, and the Défi Azimut 2 days. So it's short, and you can push yourself pretty hard, and then you will have the time to sleep. And on this one, we'll have to last a bit longer. So I think we'll need to find a good compromise as well, because sometimes when you push the boats really hard, it's hard to sleep. It's hard to rest. So you can't do that for too long either. So we'll see a bit, I think, with the conditions, with how we go in the fleet, and we'll have to work out the good balance at the moment as well. Yeah,
right. Oh gosh, well, it's really exciting, and can't wait to see you off on the Saturday and basically track you throughout the next sort of week, 14 days that it takes you to get across. Now, just to have a quick touch on the rest of the fleet, there was one particular team that I wanted to bring to mind, and this was following an initiative by the TJV organisation. An initiative to support more women into offshore racing, and by doing this, they encouraged a female crew to apply for a position. Could you tell us a bit more about that initiative?
Yeah. So I think the organization made a call last year for women who were keen to do the race to apply. and they choose. I think they were female applying for mixed crews or for a 100% female project, and they picked a female project in class 40, and it's 2 twins, I think, who are probably 25 or 30, who will do the race for the first time, and have been. So they had financial help to build their project. They had advice as well from team managers and from sailors, and the race communicated as well a lot on their project. So it's been nice, I think, to see this happening, and I'm sure they will do it again on the next on the future races.
Okay, well, and the name of their team, just so we can follow them.
I will have to see. They're twins, so I think it's Twins for Transat or something like this. But you can check probably on the website of the TGV. It's the project is called Cap pour Elle.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Cap pour Elle. We will look that up and make sure we put that in the pod notes so that we can follow their progress. Okay, and then just on a final note, as part of the mentoring program, Magenta mentoring program, you were working with a lady called Jamelia last year. And Jamelia, as we speak, is currently competing in the Mini-Transat race. They've stopped in Las Palmas in the Canary Islands, is that right? Or the and they've recently just set up again, I think on Friday the 29th of October, they set off again to cross the Atlantic. How your communications with Jamelia, I mean, how has she gone? Have you had much chit-chats with her while she's stopped off? And how did she go after that punishing first leg?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So I think we ended up our mentorship this fall, but we're still in touch. We had a great year, I think, together on the mentoring program. So I think we'll keep in touch in the next years. And so, before I think for the first leg, for sure, it was a bit special. They had to stop in Finisterre, and it's been quite hard and a bit of special leg. And then they had a good break in Canary Island, and they left again. And it seems not too easy on the weather side, but I think Jamelia has quite an interesting position at the moment. So I've been also following your progresses, and I mean, it's really nice. It's her first transatlantic on her own. And she had a quite she didn't have a lot of budget, so she did the project with the Pogo 2, but she already committed to buy a more performant production boat for the next edition of the race. So that's really nice as well. So she's making her way in the class, and she'll be able to have a more competitive project on the next race. So that's great, and with a great first experience on this year.
Yeah. Well, it's been great to follow her progress, and I'm sure she's learnt an absolute ton from yourself. Justine, a huge thank you for your give back, not only to some of the girls that we've mentioned, but also wishing you all the best with this race. We'll be following, and looking forward to following your progress and seeing you safely into Martinique in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah. So, best of luck, and thank you for your time.
Thanks to you, Abby.
Well, that concludes this episode of The Sailing Show, where we've had a quick chat with Justine Mettraux ahead of the start of the Transat Jaques Vabres, and we've had some amazing insights from Dee Caffari, who knows the IMOCA class so well. If you're wanting to follow the start of the race, Sunday, November the 7th at exactly 1:27 p.m. French time, it's being streamed live on YouTube. Across the duration of the race, there will be daily updates on the transatjaquesvabres.org website, Facebook pages, and YouTube page, 12:30 every day, again, French time, and that will connect to the race boats who are offshore. So there's plenty of ways to follow, but a good starting point is the transatjaquesvabres.org website. If you're keen to follow Justine, then just head to the 11th Hour website or Facebook pages, where they'll be streaming regular updates themselves. And the team that we mentioned, the twins for Transat, Jean and Julia Courtois, who are competing in the Class 40 in the Transat Jaques Vabres. Check out their Instagram channel, Twins for a Transat. We look forward to following Justine, the twins, and The total of 4 female competitors in this race, so we can't wait to follow their progress. Well, that concludes this show, as I said, and if you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share if you would know anyone who would benefit from listening to this episode. Please continue to follow the Magenta Project on our website and social media. And to keep up to date on women's sport in general, not just sailing, check out Wisp Sports online and social media. Thank you for your time.